people come in for a minute or two, which in the beginning, started the live with Katy. Super excited to have you on.
Yeah, I'm excited to be on.
All right, perfect. Looks like we're coming. And then if you guys drop in the chat. Oh, looks like we're dropping frames. Let me see what it means. 1 second. I am getting an error.
Okay.
Damn it. Hey, what is... I had high hopes. Okay, 1 second. Maybe I can drop this lower. Okay, let me drop this lower. Okay, let's see if that helped. Damn it. Oh,
Do you know?
I think we might have people watching right now. If you guys can hear us and see us, chat in the chat room, because it says we have people watching us live right now, but I also am getting an error. Hey Jim, can you see us, or are we buffering a lot? Hey Afro.
Oh my God, hello everyone. I can't see
All
your
good.
names, but...
Oh, cool. DCL Interact, Jim. A little laggy. Let me just try to drop it one more time. Oh no, it says we're good now. I think it just needed a second. And thanks for the follow, BTC Biff. If you're on here now, you guys let me know. I'm gonna drop one more thing. Give me 1 second. I'm trying a different streaming service tonight, guys, because last 2 nights, if you guys were watching, you know that we cut off at weird times. So I'm trying a new one. So bear with me. I'll change one more thing, and we'll see if that helps. All right, it says it's good. If anyone getting anything dropped, just let me know. I keep getting an error. Sorry guys. I'm on a new one today. If it is really laggy, DCL Interact, just let me know. Otherwise we're gonna get started, and then just ping anything in the chat box if you're using us, and I'll try to figure something out, or I might go back to the other streaming. Okay, cool. It's working fine. Awesome. All right, tonight we're here with Katy. I'm so happy to have you on, and I know you basically from your art on crypto Twitter. But I am super excited to get to know you a little bit more. I checked out your Instagram and have seen all of your beautiful digital artwork that you've been doing for so long. And then also you have an amazing YouTube channel where you show time lapses of your work, which by the way, I definitely want to get into that because I love the colors that you're using, the organic lines, like your compositions in general, I think are so, so beautiful. And I want to talk about like what inspires you, who are your muses, all of that. But then also you are a life coach, which I think is so cool. I don't see that a lot, so I will just let you introduce yourself, and then we'll kind of go from there.
Yeah, sure. So, hi everybody. I'm Katy. So I'm a digital artist. I make a lot of like sexy, weird art that like makes me very happy. So my background is I went to school for art, and I started off doing like work for video games. So I went to school, I went to a tiny school specifically for video game art, and then worked in the industry for a couple years after that. And so that's kind of where I got a lot of my, education practice and stuff, where I like cultivated, I guess, my skills. And then, I love, that was awesome in one way, but like I just had all these ideas and stuff that it was my dream since I was young to make money from my own work, not to make money in a studio or part of a studio. And that was like, but I had such a struggle with my relationship with my own art. And then luckily I found life coaching, and that's what helped me really kind of fall in love and fix my relationship with my art. And so when I fixed that for myself, or when I mended that relationship, I just knew that I had to help other artists with similar problems, and then that's how I became a life coach too.
That's awesome. So did you go to school in the States or abroad?
In the States. So I live in Indonesia right now, and I was born and raised here actually. So my dad is American and my mom is Indonesian, so I'm half. But yeah, my dad, I got American citizenship like as soon as I was born, just through my dad, I guess.
Right.
I was born and raised until I was like 18, and then I went to school in the States. Yeah.
Okay, got it. And then when did you move back to Indonesia?
I think I moved back like 2 to 3 years ago ish.
Okay. And was it to be close to family, or was there any other reason why?
Okay, we're gonna air out some dirty laundry today, right?
So okay.
Yeah, not that crazy. It's just that I actually like quit. I like had, I had my job, I had everything in the States, and then I was like, I am not happy. This is not, I don't know what is going on. And so I decided to like leave everything in the States to go backpacking. And so I like traveled around Southeast Asia for a while, just with my backpack. And then at one point I was like, okay, I think this is like done now. I met somebody, moved in with them in Australia, and then we didn't work out. And so then Indonesia is like right next to that, right? So like I just came back home just to like kind of like regroup and stuff like that. And then that's when the journey of me really working on my relationship with my own art started happening. Was kind of like after I kind of like was lost in the world for a while, just like doing my own thing for a while, and then I moved back here it's closer to family, but it's also just I needed to regroup after such a big kind of like shift in my life. Yeah.
So how long were you living in Australia for?
I think like about a year.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
And
about a year.
What was your experience there?
Yeah. Oh my God. So I was traveling around Southeast Asia. I met this guy, and I was like starting to run out of money from just traveling, right? And then it's a really normal thing for backpackers that when you run out of money, you tend to go to like a country like Australia, where you can do like this working holiday visa and make a bunch of money back, and then you go travel again. And so what I did was, I met this guy, and he was like, come to Australia, and lots of people work on farms in Australia. So I worked in a melon farm for like 6 months, packing melons.
A melon farm.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What kind of melons?
All kinds of melons.
Okay. That's awesome.
Melons. My boyfriend at the time, he was a harvest manager, and so he was he was like lifting watermelons and like harvesting watermelons and stuff. Yeah, it was wild.
Amazing.
It was a really weird time in my life.
Yeah. Thanks for the follow, Giselle. That's funny. Alan said that's different. Yes, that's very different. And Easy has worked on some farms in a few countries. That's pretty cool. I can't say I've ever had that farming experience. I bet you probably got really strong lifting melons and packing them. But that's definitely interesting and something that you don't forget. And hey, why not venture and do something like that while you can?
Yeah. Why not?
Okay, sorry, I have a funny comment that I have to read. A lot of which are money. I don't know what time it is for you, a lot of money right now, but you probably haven't slept in 2 days because we were just at his hotel earlier today. And he said, okay, so I was picturing Katy as an emo English girl with violet hair. Nice to meet you. That's awesome. Oh, it's 4 a.m. for him right now. That was your look in high school?
Yeah, that was totally my look in high school. Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. So let's venture into art. So you studied art in school, and you were doing art for you said for games, or like studying to do art for games, and then
Yeah.
when you decided you wanted to work for yourself, how did that start for you? Was it like just like growing your account on Instagram? Like, a big question I have before NFTs, like, how do you make money with just purely digital art? Like, what was your kind of like business model, and what led you to doing that?
Yeah, it was mainly commissions.
Mm-hmm.
That was mainly it, commissions. Like, and the way I kind of entered into it, I actually didn't go into it wanting to. I mean, I wanted to work for myself and stuff, but I just had so much judgment about like what makes money and and what's appropriate and what's real art and all that kind of stuff. And so when I started working on like my relationship with my art, I really was like, you know what, I'm going to set aside for now like the idea of success and what correct art is and um what real art is, and I'm just going to do what I want to do. And then if I never make money from it, that's totally fine. I kind of like decided that. And I guess, yeah, it was just I just really thought that like people were gonna like, if I'm thinking about really professional artists in the video game industry and stuff like that, like I was just like terrified of what they were gonna think about the stuff I love doing, like the super indulgent stuff that I love to do so much, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
the voice in my head was just like, this is not valuable, nobody wants this, all that kind of stuff. And so actually like setting that aside and letting myself like freely do what I want, it ended up actually attracting clients who loved my art exactly for the way it was.
Which is
And
amazing.
yeah, and people who like like it's like my art exactly the way it was, and people, me thinking that people were going to hate it, it actually created people who were like, what is this weirdness and stuff, and like actually liked it more, I guess. Like I'm sure it repelled some people, which is great, right? Like my art's not for everyone, but then I didn't realize how much it was going to attract another really awesome crowd. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's really special because once you start making art that makes you happy, and then you have other people that are connecting with it, and it like connects with them in some way or makes them happy, makes them sad, whatever it is, like that's where you
Yeah.
hit that sweet spot because you are doing something that you love and you're not being forced to, which sometimes that it can be that way with commissions, but you're not being forced to do something that you are not inspired by. And I think
Yeah.
like inspired work is so much better than work that you are kind of like forcing yourself to do because you might think that someone else will like it. So I think that's
Yeah.
special to have that. What with your art, what I guess inspires you when you're creating art, and like how do you find your muses? When I was with had my dad with a lot of money, we briefly talked about your art and how you were just so talented, and he was saying like your proportions, like, and I was talking about like just how you're like the lines that you draw and how everything looks so organic, like you're so talented. What kind of like inspires you, and where do you find your thoughts to make what you make?
Yeah. So I mean, I've had a lot of practice. Like I've drawn. I started drawing since I was like 4, I think. Like pretty young age, I was already practicing a lot. It was very on and off. Like I said, like I really suffered from like procrastination with my art.
I saw.
Like I loved it, I hated it at the same time. A long time ago. Um, and then art school obviously helped with like I was just really hungry. Like I think like when I knew I wanted to be an artist in high school, but I was terrified of the whole starving artist thing. And then I loved video games, so I was like, oh wait a second, like people make money, like there's people who have jobs doing this. So when I was in school, I was like pretty hungry to make sure that I was going to get a job. um, so I studied a lot. Like I read books on composition, right, and did all the assignments and tried to excel, always asked for feedback from my professors and stuff like that. um, so that's to help me with like the skill side. But the idea side, I mean, personally, I think like the stuff that I was making in school and shortly after that were pretty all right. Like they were not that wild or anything, but recently, like, it's honestly just like anything that makes me go kind of like, that's inappropriate.
Yeah.
It's like
okay, I need to do that.
anything that, it's not a shock factor thing. It's just like it's just kind of like, I dare you to kind of judge me, like, feeling that I have. It's almost like I get off on anyone that might think that it's like inappropriate or something like that. And I think that's just me. Like, you know, every individual artwork that I make doesn't really have like a meaning. Like, they're kind of just fun illustrations, but my work as a whole to me feels very like fuck you, I guess, to like anything. Sorry, but
whatever you want. I have a bad vocabulary, so go for it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it just kind of has this like yeah, fuck you attitude, and not to anyone specific. Really, I think it was just to me and all the judgments and all the thoughts of like me telling myself that you couldn't do it, you're not good enough, and all that kind of stuff. It was kind of like a fuck you to that.
Yeah.
And I love pushing that, and I love like I love just like anything that, yeah, is out of my comfort zone, I guess, in that way, until it becomes a comfort zone.
Yeah. You do it in such a beautiful way though. Like the composition itself, like I don't know, like in this it never looks vulgar or I mean it's fine if it did, but it never looks like vulgar or I don't know. It's not like I don't know who's watching this, so maybe I should watch a little bit of what I say. But I don't want like, clips taken out and be like, Josie said something about a dildo. But seriously, they're really, really beautiful. Girls, guys, anyone likes to look at a woman in such a beautiful way and her body. And I think you do a really beautiful job on keeping it on the side of like really artistic and beautiful. And it's not and I haven't seen a lot of like erotica art before, like intense stuff, but it never looks intense. Like it's really beautiful.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's necessarily like what you're going for, but I really enjoy it. And I think I mean obviously you're super talented.
I like to think about it like they're flirting. They're not like putting it all out there. They're kind of like flirting and teasing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I like some of these comments coming in. Sorry, I was just reading some of them. A little bit of discomfort is what makes Katy art, ha. And the little details like a millimeter end of the curve that makes the body look sexy. Naughty girl, a lot of money says. But yeah, you're pushing the boundaries, which DCL Interact said. And I completely agree. And I love that it's something that, and I don't know your opinions on this at all. You can talk about it a little bit if you'd like. But it's something that I think is really interesting in the crypto space because a few years ago when Spank Chain came out, I don't know a lot about like sex workers and that industry. I don't know a lot about it, but I've heard about stories of like different things that obviously like are not good in the sex working industry. Underage women not getting paid properly, like all of these different things, and like things like Spank Chain, or when I hear about like not safe for work areas that will eventually happen in crypto voxels, or like sex working areas in Decentraland or whatever it is, like that kind of stuff really excites me because I think about like let's start to normalize some of these things online in a positive way where sex workers can like get paid or sexy art is something that is not necessarily obviously like at a certain age range, but like is not something that's seen as like dirty or like something like this because it's so important for us all to be educated on it. And I think you're almost like leading a little bit of the education, even if not intended, in a really cool way because it's like showing like women's bodies are beautiful and like it's okay to like think that, you know what I mean, like, and it's okay to share that. And as a woman like drawing it, even men who draw them, like if you're doing it for a really cool reason, then why not like share that and kind of get more people interested in it and not thinking that it's like some dirty thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Like I guess I think what makes my work maybe a little bit different to like just typical like smut work or something like that,
Mhm.
is like I'm not looking at sexiness just as like, oh, more skin, more boobs, more whatever. Like I think about sexiness as like a feeling, and like
Mhm.
a way of being, and being confident and powerful, and like as a female who like loves her own brain and loves her own ideas and loves her own body, and like that confidence is sexy, right? It's not just about
100%.
like and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. I love that. And yeah, empower the people. Katie pushes boundaries. No, I completely agree. I think it's interesting. So I want to know a little bit of how you found NFT art and how you just like
Yeah.
found the crypto sphere.
Yeah. I was invited. That was really cool, by Maker's Place.
Hmm.
They like emailed me 3 times. Like I get emails of like sponsorships or whatever, right? Randomly,
Yeah,
but like Maker's Place like was relentless to get me
that's
on
awesome.
their site, which, and so I was like, okay, maybe if they're this passionate, or this like they believe this much in their platform, that they won't like stop, you know. Let me take a look, and let me see what's up in this space. And I was like, okay, so I just gotta upload and then see
Yeah.
what happens. And I was like, all right, like I really didn't expect anything to come from it. Like I was just like thinking like, oh, this is gonna be another place where my art will have, like, my portfolio will be on there. And then yeah, it like I was pleasantly surprised with how well it, like I was received, I guess, by the community. um and the way, and I think what happened is because, I mean, this is a guess, tell me what you think, but
Okay.
it's like, I was really letting myself be more and more free with my art, and like kind of like cultivating that like fuck you attitude type of thing in my work. And it's almost kind of like there's this, it's almost like rock and roll kind of factor to it. And I feel like that really resonates for the crypto community. Like I feel like a lot of people feel like they're like also pushing boundaries, right?
Hmm.
And with crypto, and like kind of feeling like the punk rock of the society, with like doing stuff that's anti-establishment and stuff like that. And that's what I'm wondering, is like how that the community really resonated with my work. Like it was almost like a match made in that way.
Yeah, I feel like that probably has to do with it for sure. You're saying. I also um, think that this space is really, really small, and there's definitely some amazingly talented artists in the space. But also, when there are people that actively are searching on Maker's Place, Super Rare, all these collectors that are searching on Known Origin for new artwork that's coming out, new artists that's coming out. And when people saw your work, you can immediately tell how talented you are. And when they're buying a piece, they are obviously really fond of your work and really loving it, but they're also investing in you at an early stage. And I think that is also a huge part of it. And also why I think that, and that's not devaluing your talent, like you are super talented. I'm saying that they see that and they want to like be a part of it. Which
Yeah.
I also think is really interesting. And I, even after this, I'd love to talk with you more about how to get other um, digital artists in this space, and like just make it make sense for a digital artist to make money through what they're
Yeah.
doing. But I agree though. I agree that that feeling, like, crypto people are pretty weird and they're doing something that they always are on cutting edge with something, and the work that you're doing is also on fringe or edge or whatever. So I think that you have something with that, like the punk rock thing, like them connecting with it in that way. And I also think, like, who doesn't want like the MetaMask like fox on a sexy girl's body? Like, like, I think that's interesting. And I normally paint women as well, but normally I'm doing like portraits or like headshots or something like that. But I think it's really cool that you're kind of exploring like multiple different um, uh, emotions for the viewer, which I think is pretty
Mhm.
awesome. You're getting like that intrigue through something with the tech, like when you're involving like the Bitcoin or Ethereum logo, or you have the MetaMask thing. Or I love your collab. I feel bad. I forget who you collabed with, but girl with the VR headset and the wires.
Yeah, Vans,
Okay.
Bomar.
Okay, yeah. Like that one, like you're involving the tech, you're involving the sexy, you're involving like the really beautiful color schemes, you're involving just like the pure talent you have and like that you have the backgrounds like stand out from the focal point. So I think all around there's so many reasons, but at the end of the day, like your art is really beautiful. The space is small, so people see it fast and definitely
Yeah.
want a piece of that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Sorry guys, my light just turned off, so I turned off my light for the change.
Oh no, it's funny. Oh, so interesting. Ikaitsa said, "Do you, are you familiar with Ikaitsa's work? He has like the 3D. Um, I'll show you some after, but he said he gets shit for using him in 3D models, which is interesting. Tell
Really?
us more why you get shit for that. What have people said to you, Ikaitsa?
Yeah, what do people say?
Yeah, tell us. And then Easy and Crypto said those ones were smoking hot. Very true. Um, objectifying women. Huh.
Uh,
It's funny. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? Because I bet you probably get more messages than I've gotten. I've actually at a conference with Crypto Graffiti, and he actually had to like save me a little bit because this guy was like on the verge of basically like attacking me
no,
verbally, but like got super close in my personal space and was like yelling at me about like using women in my artwork and like I'm worse than
yeah.
all this stuff. But like you probably get it than I do. Like, do you want to talk about that?
I'm willing to share my opinion for sure. I actually don't get that. Luckily, I haven't gotten anyone saying that like I'm using the female body in like a very derogatory way or something like that. Um, I mean, this is one of those things too. When I said like I kind of get off when people think it's inappropriate. It's like if somebody thinks that I'm objectifying women, I'm kind of like fine.
Yeah.
That's okay. But I guess my opinion, I think my opinion of that is that I think it's like I think it always depends on, at least if I'm doing it right, if I'm kind of like um doing it in my art or something like that. I think the problem in general is that is it a choice? Does it feel like, because you can objectify your body and like wear sexy clothes or like whatever, right? And that comes from a powerful place, or that can come from like a powerless place, right? So like if I'm choosing to feel to dress sexy so that, and objectify myself so that someone else will think I'm hot, so that somebody will date me, so that like other people will like me and think I'm pretty and stuff, maybe that feels kind of like not the most place, right? Whereas like doing these it just depends on our reasons.
Yeah.
And if I'm coming from a place of like, I don't give a shit if you think I'm hot or not, I think I'm hot, like I'm gonna dress this way and stuff like that, right? So for like, so it's like it's gonna depend on each individual, right? And if somebody is offended by the way that I'm choosing to like show up, that tells me about like their thoughts, right? It's about them and it's not about me. It's about where it's coming from them. So yeah.
That's definitely a good point. And also, I mean, for me, I've always used mainly women in my work, and I can count on one hand how many times I've used men in my work. And I actually have some coming up that do have some pretty important men in the crypto space. But if I'm just painting something for pleasure or something I like, it's going to have a woman. And for me, a lot of the reasons why I paint women is for um, I when I see a woman or think about a woman, like I think about power. I think about my own journey. I think about how women literally give life to other people in the world. That they're this like just powerful force that has started so many different things. So I totally think I see what you mean. That a lot of times when it's other people who are telling you that you shouldn't be doing this, or maybe you're objectifying women, a lot of it has to do with their own thoughts or issues, if you want to call that.
Because there are like, maybe there are movies, right, where like they do like for example, with you and I, when we're painting women, yeah, we're coming from the place of like, this is beautiful and powerful and appreciation of the female body or the female form, all that stuff, right? Whereas maybe there are some movies where, like, for example, where they're showing the female form, but it's in that derogatory way.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really just the intention where it's coming from. Yeah.
And I think it's interesting because I feel like a lot of the collectors, in general, the space in, like, I'm impressed by the space in crypto and in crypto NFT art collecting. Most, a majority of everyone are pretty mature. I feel like I haven't gotten anything directly from like the NFT community. Like I said, I've gotten some things like in person, which is interesting because I always feel like people have stronger opinions on the internet. But who knows? But yeah, no, I like what you're doing. I want to like see more from you, and I'm super excited just like in general to have you in this space. And I'm very thankful that Makerspace kind of founded you to get you on there. And yeah, I want to see more other talented. I want to see more talent come in this space. And I've talked with actually a few people in the chat here. And I'm trying myself to get some people into this space. And after this, I want to get some of your opinions on how they kind of approached, earning ETH versus earning USD, or maybe you were earning USD, I don't know. But I'd love to chat with you about that. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your YouTube videos? And you are a life coach for artists. Do you want to like talk a little bit about how you started doing that and what that's about?
Yeah, sure. So, okay, where should I start? So I guess how I started in life coaching was I just found a teacher who really made everything make sense to me. So, okay, I'm gonna be like really just honest and like vulnerable about where my head was at. So I was like rock bottom in my life when I found like all this work. I was in Australia and I was in a really unhappy relationship. I was in a really unhappy situation. I mean, it was a crazy experience, but like, I was really unhappy in the States and I couldn't understand why I was so unhappy. Like I thought it was the job. I thought it was my life, the boyfriend I had at the time. It was just me thinking like, I just had such like lack of confidence in myself. I didn't like myself at all. And so my thought, like my solution was like, oh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to abandon all of that and go travel, right? I'm going to go avoid. I thought the problem was all that. And then what turns out is that you leave that stuff, but you still bring your brain with you everywhere you go, right? And so I found myself, like, I thought I was going to have this just glamorous traveling life, but then I found myself in a really unhappy relationship and stuff like that. And it was kind of like, how the fuck did I get here again? Like, what the fuck happened? And then so I found life coaching because they really, really helped me see, like, I was actually creating all of this. Like, I was repeating my patterns and repeating the cycle of the way I was seeing myself and the value that I put on myself. It was like I was just like recreating it again. And so when I found it, it just helped me like really understand, like, why do I keep putting myself in these kind of like situations, I guess. And so and then from there I like really turned that shit around, like worked on me and my mindset like a lot, and then that, and actually at that time, I didn't mention this, but at that time I totally quit art. I actually was totally, like, unhappy in my job and my art. So I was like, oh, art's the problem too, like during that time that I was traveling, I literally was like thinking that I was going to find a different career. I was like, oh, the artist's life and different. Because of coaching, then like I found my way back to my art, and I was able to just be able to like mend that relationship more. And then then I became certified as a coach. And then now my Instagram and my YouTube, that's where I go to like share everything I know about if you're struggling with your confidence, with your art, if you're struggling with procrastination, if you're not having a good time at all, if you don't feel a good artist, all that kind of stuff. Like that is everything with. Yeah.
I'm gonna need to hire you for some issues I'm having with time management. I need to hire you for that. My time management is terrible right now.
Yeah.
But that's amazing, and that's interesting that you went from. And I think that happens with a lot of people, that you like hit this total low, and you are even considering not continuing art at all. And then it almost takes like you have to hit that low to start to like open your eyes and take a step back and see the bigger picture. And then you made that turnaround. And you're helping other people also who are probably have been in that same situation or are in that situation currently, sort of turn that around, which is really amazing. And I commend you for that. I don't think I could listen to people all day talking about it and help them with it. So that must take a lot of patience. What do you feel like when you are coaching someone through either like procrastination issues, like whatever it is, like I don't know, does it feel also rewarding to you in a sense?
Because yeah. I mean, it's like the most selfish job, I actually think. Like I get so much reward, and just seeing people make changes, seeing people love themselves more, seeing people feel more confident in themselves as an artist, right? And just as a person in general. But yeah, it's the most selfish job, because like I went into it because when I found life coaching, and like when I found, when things were like clicking in my head about why I was feeling so bad about myself, like I kind of had this image in my head of like, I remember myself, I like had like a vision, not really a vision, but I had an image in my head of like my teenage self in my room, like crying, like feeling really, really insecure, like super, super, super insecure. And I had that image and was like, oh my God, like I'm gonna take care of us, I'm gonna help us out of this kind of thing. And so every client that I have who works with me, it's like I'm honoring my teenage self, who was so like did not know how to handle her own thoughts and stuff, right? Yeah. And so and I see like my teenage self kind of like in everyone that I work with. And yeah, it's like I think it's actually selfish more for me. Like I'm enjoying it more, as well. Yeah.
That's really interesting. That's really amazing that you're doing that. Yeah, Easy in Crypto said, I'm jumping all over the place. Need some help organizing my brain. Katie's gonna get bum rushed for help.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and you guys should definitely check out her YouTube channel too, because when I checked it out, I was just like, you speak so openly and so freely, and that's really refreshing, because really I never got into social media at all until I got a Twitter, for like literally only because of crypto. I had never had a Facebook, like nothing. I don't like posting pictures of myself, like I just had never had it. And then and I'd always see friends like so into curating exactly how they look online, exactly how they're editing their pictures for Instagram and all this stuff. And like I feel like when I'm watching your videos on YouTube, like I don't get any sense of that at all. Like you are confident, yet vulnerable, yet like just like super like honest and like easy to connect with, which I think is obviously like perfect for being a life coach. But you guys should definitely check out her YouTube, because I really appreciated that. It feels like you're like listening to someone real and not someone scripted, which I appreciate, because a lot of people online do have like these certain personas that they have to like live up to. You know what I mean?
For sure, and I get it, like, because I used to be that person. I used to be very like very, very much aware, like and not present, right? Because I was just thinking so much about what they were going to judge me about, all that kind of stuff. But I really love like the stories that I share and stuff on Instagram or on YouTube, because like it's like if it helps one person feel less ashamed about what they're going through, it's like a million times worth it for me, you know? It's like I love that. Like that just gives me a high.
Yeah.
Sharing anything and not and just like being shameless about it. And but you know, it doesn't mean that it always feels good for me. Like it requires a lot of courage. But like I also find that pretty like exhilarating. It's the same way that I feel about like my art. It's like kind of like again pushing past what's like appropriate, what you should be sharing and stuff like that. And I'm like, take it all. You can hear it all.
I love that. So what are you, I guess going back to like NFTs and you creating digital art, what are you excited about? Like you have been in this space, like you've been creating NFT art for how long?
Not long. It's been like since January of this year.
So since since the beginning of this year, like I mean, you kind of like went head first, and I feel like you've been like sticking with it, which is awesome. Like, what are you excited about? Like, what are you have you felt in general since you're newer coming into the community? Have you felt like the community love? What are you hoping to see as you continue the journey in the space?
Yeah, no, it's like it's been amazing since the start, you know, of joining the space. I've never felt so welcomed. It's really awesome. Like thank you everybody. Like so I think what I'm really excited about is well before I found NFT, I at one point in my career like of doing my own art, I made like a really solid decision that I was going to not do any traditional work. And that was really difficult. That was a really tough decision because my brain was so sure that like there's no money in digital art, there's only money in traditional work. So like you know, if you're it's just like you're gonna be unsuccessful, all that kind of stuff. But I just Photoshop, like painting in Photoshop feels like an extension of me. I just feel the most at home in that. And so it was kind of like, again, it really, I have this feeling of like, this was really meant to be because like when I made that decision and took that risk, I guess, like it was just so perfect for the NFT space. And so it like made me push. And so when I got into NFT, it was like, oh my God, I wonder how far I can push this digital art thing. Like I started, you know, incorporating animations into my illustration, like using Photomosh, that like Rob Ness like shared that, and I was like, what is this? This is so cool. So I'm seeing too how like people are, you know, they want to include more like 3D work, or they're like more GIF work and stuff like that. I'm like, holy crap, I really don't have to be a traditional artist. Like that's just so cool. And I want to see like as like this the technology kind of like progress more, like how far, like, you know, guys, I've seen Joy's work, right? I'm sure you know Joy, obviously, right? Like how I would love to make like a 3D girl.
Yeah.
Like, I've always loved the idea of vinyl toys. Like I would love to make. Yeah, I would love to make crypto girls, those crypto kitty series, into like little vinyls.
Yeah.
But it would be really cool to see it in 3D as well, and that being like collectible. And yeah, like
all right,
I don't know,
Alan, I don't know if you're still in here, but he said normally he doesn't like crypto art, but crypto kitty women not be designed. So Alan, you better start saving up for some vinyl crypto kitty women. That's awesome. That's exciting to hear because obviously like learning about someone who's been in the space since January, since the beginning of this year, and hearing that you've had such a great experience and that you've felt so welcomed, like, that's really amazing to hear because it's like a little family. You know, like everyone, like it feels like everyone for the most part like gets along and wants to encourage each other, and I love that you experienced that firsthand. And I definitely want to see more of that. And that's, you know, when I was getting into the space, I was streaming last night with Coin Artist, and when I was getting into the space, and I met her at a conference where I was showing crypto art, and she, you know, for so long. And the first time I met her in person, she was like, hey, come do this show with me next month in Paris. And I was like, okay. And like that, like I was so appreciative of, and like she's just always been like that. So to hear that you're also getting that from the community years later is really encouraging and really makes me happy, because that's what we need, because the community is still very, very, very small. So I think that's really awesome.
Yeah, and I'm excited. I'm excited for more digital artists to in on this, because it's awesome. Like finally, digital art is valuable. Like
yeah, and not only that, like the collectors want more art as well. Yeah, DCL Interact said the CB community is very strong. That's really true, especially with the meetups. And by the way, for after this, Katie, hopefully you're up for this, but I want to go into Crypto Voxels to A Lot of Money's hotel that we partied at earlier today. So you should drop in with us there. But yeah, and DCL is getting there too. All of these like community-driven things that they're doing, so I appreciate that. So let's see. If you guys have questions in the crowd that either maybe I missed when you first typed them, or you want to ask Katie while we're chatting, just feel free and post your questions now and we'll start answering them. Otherwise, is there anything in particular that you want to talk about, or do you have any like work that you're really excited about that's coming up soon? Anything like that?
Actually, one of the things that when you were saying like, what else am I excited about? I'm curious what the community thinks and what you think too. Is like, I'm excited for the crypto stuff to be a little bit easier to enter. Like the community is super, super welcoming for sure. But learning the stuff about it definitely was a little bit like daunting and scary. And I actually was trying to help my friend get onto Maker's Place. And it's been, I was really lucky that I was invited, and so like, my profile, they really held me, and they really like took care of me, like gave me like tips and stuff on what to really help me succeed. But yeah, my friend definitely has like a hard time, but like, do you see this stuff like getting easier to understand and stuff like sooner, do you think?
I definitely think there's room to grow. I also think a big barrier. So I've reached out to some awesome digital artists that I follow on Instagram that I've just been following for a while, and I'm really fond of them. And I've kind of just like started to try to like talk to them about NFTs. The hard part I find is explaining it to people in a way that I don't sound scammy. Like, I know it sounds so weird, but imagine before you got into the space and like I'm talking to you about Ethereum and like, I make my living on this. It's like cryptocurrency, but you can, obviously I'm dramatizing it a bit, but don't worry, like you can cash it into USD right away, or like whatever currency, like, you know what I mean? It just like, it sounds so scammy, and like, it's hard to get which always like regret so much that I'm not really social media savvy, and I have maybe like 10 posts on my Instagram, and I really should have been like, I keep up with my Twitter a lot more because that's where the community is. Wish I would have kept that going and work on it, because obviously like the bigger following you have on Instagram to these other Instagram artists, they like trust you a bit more, you know what I mean? So I need to get my presence better on there, but it is hard. I'd be willing to handhold any of the artists that I've reached out to, but that is not a solvable solution. So what I think needs to happen, and what I think is starting to happen a little bit with some of the people I'm talking about, is really making the tools accessible, having them out there that make it easy for people, because there are people who know about Ethereum, have a MetaMask, use MetaMask, want to get into NFT art, but simply don't know the best place to mint on. So people who are even knowledgeable don't really know where to go for that sort of thing. And even when people are, I was walking through someone minting on OpenSea before, and there's like these weird little workarounds that I do every time that I'm minting on OpenSea, but I forget that I do them. And then they're like, hey,
Yeah.
this isn't showing up. And I'm like, oh, well, you have to do this and then you have to do that. And then, so even just like those small things that it seems people feel like they're not doing it right. And when you have something that's so permanent, like minting a token, you want to make sure you're
Yeah.
doing it correctly. So I think there just needs to be more resources. And I know like Sparrow, she's been working on some stuff like that. And I'm going to have her on the show too, and we're going to talk about it. And kind of like, I think, focus a lot of our talk on that, how to make this more accessible for people and give people the resources right up front so that they, I've learned through even DMing people on Instagram, they want to do their research too. They're like, can you link me to articles?
Yeah.
So just kind of having that like one-stop website place that like you want to get started tokenizing your digital artwork. Well, here's all the information you need. So I think that needs to happen. I know that was kind of wordy for the answer, but there's just kind of like a lot of moving parts with that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, like a one-stop shop, like a one guide how to would be cool.
Yeah, and I also hope once we get like, obviously you're in this space and you came from like, obviously you're not traditional, but like to traditional digital art to NFT art. So having people like you are experienced with more of like the digital art community, also being an advocate and having like a good experience would also just be kind of like a trusted source for other new digital artists to come into the space. Like, okay, this worked for her, then maybe it could work for me.
Yeah,
you know?
totally. I definitely want to be more loud about this. 'Cause I guess my question is actually like, I don't know why this is a question, but like, I guess like people do want more people to join, right? Like the crypto community does want this to become like mainstream to like that cryptocurrency and stuff, right?
Yeah, totally. And it's not like there's the more the merrier. Like there's so much room in this space. We are so young, so new. And if we can get other big artists, the really amazing thing is getting artists. I'm hoping I almost have him locked in, but I am talking with an artist who has almost 300,000 followers on Instagram, and he is super super talented. And imagine if he can tell users, and a lot of like his, from what I've learned, a lot of his income is through like Patreon or something like that. But if he can introduce his collector base clientele, like followers, to collecting his work digitally with NFTs, like imagine what that would do for the NFT space. Imagine how many new wallets would be created. Imagine how many people could come into crypto voxels and build like so many, like we all need the space to grow for it to be legitimate, for it to be long lasting. Like there just needs to be a lot of growth, and if we can introduce it through art, which I think is a huge, one of the biggest use cases right now for NFTs in specific, I think that's the exact way.
Yeah, that actually makes sense. Yeah, like to get in from. Cool.
And then a couple of people in the Easy said he's working on a project hoping to help onboard people and also with collectors in the space. That's really awesome, Easy. We talked about that a little bit. I can't wait to see that. And Alan said he's really glad Maker's Place and Nifty Gateway allow fiat payment, which I totally agree. That's a huge thing too, because he said buying crypto is still so painful, even if you know what you're doing, which is true.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's just like, and the fees on some of the platforms make it easy, or just like, why are you charging that much for that?
Yeah.
Sorry, I was just reading some of these. Good point. We've been wanting a verified seller list for Decentraland. Honest, helpful people for newcomers. Something similar would be great for our community. I think that's a great idea, DCL Interact, to have that also for DCL stuff. Neurocolor. NFTs are way more efficient for people who are not that good at generating narrative content. NFTs are more efficient for people who are not as good at generating narrative content. Okay. I'm not exactly sure if I know what you mean, but I think like you're saying like the visual content is good for NFTs. Cool. Compared to Patreon, yes, totally agree. Cool. If you guys have questions for Katie in the chat, definitely post them here as well. Um, Sorry, just reading through. It's always normally I have the chat closer, but since I'm using a streaming service, it's further away, so I'm like looking this way. Looking, that's so true. Using crypto said navigating all the different platforms, even OpenSea, when you're looking for just art is rough. That is true because artists are so on so many different platforms and they do different things on different platforms because, like, for example, Super Rare currently doesn't do editions, and artists do editions sometimes. So then you have to check, like, do they have a known origin? Do they have a maker's place? Do they have an OpenSea? So it is sort of hard to find like the one local place for everything.
Yeah.
Easy has a question for you. What are Katie's thoughts about minting on a bunch of different platforms versus just one or two?
Yeah. So invited recently by Jim, and there's like, he has a new platform called Infinity.
It's very hard for me to say too. He makes fun of me. He's like, it's just infinity, but infinity. I'm like, okay.
Oh, that's so intense. Okay. Oh, I get it now.
It's still hard for me to say, and I know it, so it's okay.
Yeah. I've made something for that, and I'm really excited for everyone to see when that comes out. I'm really excited about what I made. I'm very proud of it. Right now for me, I'm pretty loyal to Maker's Place because they were the ones that invited me, and I kind of don't really want to learn new stuff, right? New platform. But yeah, I feel very grateful to Maker's Place right now. So like I'm content like staying there, and they've taken such good care of me and stuff. So
that's really awesome to hear. I had the pleasure of meeting one of the Maker's Place people in person at NFT NYC, and he was really, really great. So that's awesome to hear. For Katie, which art piece of yours are you most proud of?
Oh my gosh. Ooh, that's a hard one.
Minted or not minted, it could be something else totally.
I mean, oh my gosh, that's like asking like which one of your
child
children
do you like best? Yeah.
Yeah, because I really love all of them. Maybe, I mean, I had so much fun with I think, oh, you know what, the Vans collab, I'm really, really proud of.
I love that piece.
Yeah, that one was really like, because I also was like, when I was making it, like, I was also like, can I really pull this off? Like, I had that idea in my head. And then when it came out just the way that I wanted it to come out, I was like, oh,
hell yes.
Yeah.
Oh, and there are a couple more questions. Oh, I'll just name some of these, but I do want to ask, I don't forget, like, where you get some of your inspiration and like your muses.
Yeah.
But okay, so question, just a comment. Love Katie's work. This is from Whale Shark Pro. Love Katie's work and can't wait for more one-of-one pieces to add to the collection. And then God. Easy said, us minnows need to collect fast. The vault demands more Katy Arrington. That is so funny.
Well, I can't wait. Yeah, I'm actually working on a new collaboration with Javier Ares. Is that if I'm saying his name correctly? He's if you've seen his work, he's the one that's done like these really intricate it's like a universe, and it's like all these intricate animations. I don't know if you've seen his work, but I'm really excited about it.
That's exciting. What other collabs that you want to tell us about, or is that the main one?
Yeah, that's really the only main one. That one's gonna take a lot.
Okay.
That one's gonna be kind of like, that one's gonna take a while, I think, or like it's gonna require a lot. It's not, yeah. So that's the only one I'll be working on for some time.
That's fair. Sorry, I just want to make sure. CryptoArt.net is trying to fulfill the need for artists to put all their links together in one directory. Good to know. Okay, cool. So do you want to talk about, really quickly, because I'm just so interested, like, how you like get all of the perfect, like when you're doing I mean, you're like a lot of money. I said before, your proportions are so amazing. You do such a good job from like so many different angles. Do you want to talk about how you like get inspired for some of your pieces?
Yeah, sure. So, I love Hello Kitty. I love like Japanese kawaii culture. I mean, I'm like fascinated by dichotomy and contrast and the extreme sides of things. So I love mixing like cute with like inappropriate or like edgy or sexy
Mm-hmm.
or like girl throwing up or something like that, right? Like I love like melding, yeah,
Yeah.
like two things that aren't really supposed to be in the same thing together. Like I just like I love that. It excites me a lot. So I love like kawaii, cute, pink, whites, and like ultra baby cute stuff. Alongside like very weird, edgy punk fashion, punk style and stuff like that. I really love that. And I really love the Japanese culture for that because they have such a like I love Harajuku culture
Yeah.
and Harajuku fashion. Like I love how like there's this like extreme edgy fashion that came out of like a culture that's very like rigid and traditional and stuff like that. Like I love that extreme contrast and extreme dichotomy. Yeah.
Yeah, I can totally, now that you say that, I can totally see that in your work, which is pretty cool. And I like that your work, like, obviously each piece is so different, but it does have that same feeling of, like, oh, I know this is a Katy Arrington piece,
Yes.
which I love that. Yeah, no, totally. I love that about your work. Are there, oh, Giselle said for the site there are only 13 of us on there now, but they're very responsive to adjusting their new site. So that's awesome. Yeah, I'll definitely have to check that out. Both of us will have to check that out to see what's up there. Do you have any, I guess, questions for anyone listening or me, or want to talk about anything else before I'm going to do some rapid fire questions at the end of
Yeah.
this, and then I want us all to up in crypto voxels if you guys have time.
Yeah. I mean, I would like one of the biggest reasons why I also wanted to do this was so I could chat with you and talk to you, and I want to hear about your journey as well. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, like I guess I mean I read the article and I feel like I think I understand like your how you went into the crypto world and how you created so much success in this world too. But I would love to know like you know I guess I would love to know like your what do you think made you who you are kind of thing, like you know what I
Interesting.
mean, like I love learning about what makes people tick and stuff like that. And so
Mm-hmm.
like um you've been it sounds like you had like a pretty also interesting different life, you know, where you like moved in with a friend and stuff like that. Like is there anything from that you feel like you learned, you know, you took to your art, stuff like that?
Yeah. No. Thanks for asking. I was earlier. If I don't know if Pavo is on this chat, but I had a podcast with him, which was kind of the first time that I've like opened up with anything that was behind the scenes, and I was super thankful and happy with the way people received it, and some of the messages I got. But yeah, so it was interesting. I definitely think that my past influences my art in a lot of ways, and in general has influenced just like where I am in my life now.
Hmm.
But in college, I did not study art, but I've always loved art growing up.
Hmm.
And the reason why I guess I didn't study art growing up, I took care of myself and my sister at a very young age. Um, and I've never met my dad. And then my mom, she had like her whole other thing going on. So I quickly became the parent to my younger sibling. So it was interesting. From a very young age, I was working full time jobs
Hmm.
and while going to school, and it's always kind of just been like a like work, get by. And then when I went to college, which I spoke a little bit about with Hava, college was like never in my plan. It like totally wasn't even on my radar. because
Yeah.
where I grew up on a pretty rough side of Chicago, and where I grew up, college like wasn't a thing. Like nobody was like, "Oh, what school are you going to? What'd you get on your ACT?" Like I didn't really
Hmm.
know really anyone in my direct community in my direct neighborhood that I had even gone to college. I was the first in my family to even graduate high school. So
Yeah.
definitely a lot of my past just kind of like made me a little bit of a hustler. And when I
Hmm.
moved in with that family in high school, my senior year of school, they like changed everything for me. And became like, instead of just like a workaholic, like how can I make the next buck? I became
Yeah.
more of like, okay, I need to start using my time more efficiently and work smarter instead of harder.
Hmm.
So they really pushed me to go to college, which I don't think college is for everyone, and I think people can like totally make it without college. But I'm very glad I went through it because I totally needed it at that point in life. It taught me so much. But I went to college for finance, and then really, really, I'm so thankful I did that because working in finance right after I graduated, I learned what was going on in our system. And I went from being around like one of the most impoverished and violent communities in the United States to managing portfolios for some of the wealthiest people in the United
Yeah.
States. So it was like this total, like, it was just complete opposites.
Yeah.
And learning so much about that. I'm really lucky that when I was younger, I had some resentment towards like rich people, rich white people. Like I had some resentment, and then like I just learned so much so fast that I'm really thankful for. And working in that industry taught me a lot, and taught me how um, people, just because you were rich didn't mean that you weren't kind. And you couldn't judge
Yeah.
someone based on their income. And the family that I lived with, who were well off, they really taught me how much of kind hearts they had. So they definitely influenced a lot of the things that I did and that I learned. But it opened my eyes. Working in finance opened my eyes to what was out there, and that I could, it introduced me to crypto. It introduced me to so many different things. And it taught me that I could actually invest myself and not just invest for other people and make a living for myself and make earnings while I sleep, which was so like life changing and important for me. And when I
Hmm.
found crypto, that was like, okay, this is my way in. Like, this is the way that I like start, becoming financially free and like having, first time in my life that I had a savings account. Like, there were so many things that it changed for me, which is why I'm so passionate. Like, a lot of people in the NFT space say, like, oh, I don't like crypto art. I don't like, but I like NFT art. I don't like art based on crypto. But for me, it's like, it's so much of my journey, and like so much of like it liberated
Hmm.
me from so many things. Like now I'm so thankful that I do art for a living, and each of my art pieces, like, I want to have that story in them and have people connect with them in a deeper way that I'm like feeling when I'm creating it. So for me, crypto art is so much more than just like making an art piece that I think the crypto community might like, but it's
Hmm.
really about like bringing awareness and like putting like part of my story into the piece, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
yeah, no, completely. Everything. I'm super thankful for everything that's happened because it's totally formed like my work now, totally formed like how I grew up.
Yeah.
And I'm super thankful to be where I am now. And really, I a lot of that I say is because of community building and just really getting to know people and meet people in the space. And the space is so small. I can't stress that enough. If there's someone, like, for anyone that's listening to this, like, if there's someone that wants to reach out to someone that they feel like is famous in the space, or like, is like not when they normally like couldn't talk to, like, that's totally not the case. Like, I've talked to people that I've been like, holy shit, I just talked to this person, that person just emailed me, that person just followed me on Twitter, like whatever it is. Like, this space is so small and so accepting that maybe not every single instance, but for most of the time, like it is possible to reach that person if you want to. So I've
Yeah.
just been super lucky that I've been able to take advantage of that and kind of like be a sponge and absorb so much within the community that they've like offered to give, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's really cool. Yeah, everyone's been really, really accepting and always
Yeah.
like happy. Like actually, it's actually a collector of mine that helped me transfer like my first ETH into USD, and
That's
like he
awesome.
was
See?
walking through it. That was awesome.
That's
Because
so
I was
awesome to
still
hear.
I was still thinking it was like fake money until it became USD, and then
Yep.
yeah, he helped me out, so that was cool. Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Tweety, if you're watching.
That is so funny. Um, and I also think that, sorry, I'm just reading this.
Mhm.
Um, I also think that that's so important because it's not even just like I've gotten a lot of my work is Bitcoin focused, and I've gotten some of my Bitcoin collectors into NFTs because they've seen me tweet like, wait, how did that person sell this for an 800% return? Like, what's going on over there? And then so I've gotten some of them interested in it that way. So it's interesting. Like, we're educating our collectors are educating us. Like, I've plenty of times I've had a collector educate me on something that they feel like I'm not doing secure enough. So they've taught me like a more secure way to do certain things. Because
Yeah.
a lot of my well, not a lot, but definitely have some collectors that are like very anonymous. So they've taught me like what to do for certain things. So it's interesting. We're kind of like all learning from each other, which is
Yeah.
awesome.
That is what makes it feel very close.
Mm-hmm.
But back to, like your story and what you shared, I love the way that you're thinking like about your work, like that it's really about you sharing your story and sharing like what it seems like is meaningful to you about cryptocurrency, right? And I just know that it's because like, and I mentioned that because a lot of what I work on with clients is that like they're making their problem often is that they're making art for other people and less for them. It's about like because then if other people like it, if they're like caring about the likes or caring about the sales, then they get to make it mean that they're successful. They get to make it mean that they're a good artist. And that actually really cuts off that creative flow often. And also like I like to think of like our energy, it's almost kind of like BO, right? Like there's like this odor, like and you can feel that in a work, if it feels like it's really coming from the heart and really coming from like with that validation and stuff like that.
Totally. And that's like, of course, I mean, that's hard for anyone, of course, but I do try to urge people that are like coming into the space and, like you said, like maybe trying to find the story that they want to share with their art. And I just want people to do something they're interested in. And maybe it doesn't even necessarily like have to like mean some thing like a tattoo. Like, you can get a tattoo just simply because you like the tattoo and it's cool. You don't have to have some like long story of like why it is so cool and like what it means so you. Like, if you connect it in some way, it's just like that you love it, like do it. You know what I mean? I think it's so important. I'm going to read some of these comments to make sure I'm not missing anything. Have you seen Tara McPherson's works? You may like it too. Here's maybe a bit more girly, less edgy than this. Ooh, I will, Giselle, I will look that up because I don't know if I've seen her work. Totally makes sense. Deeper connection to your art because your story shines through and resonates. Thank you, Easy. And then DCL Interact, much respect for both of you for sharing so much about yourselves. This conversation has been amazing. Thanks. Yeah, this is like, I normally have not shared, I mean, not that there's any reason not to, but normally I'm interviewing the other person. So that was very different and nice of you to ask something about me. Not that anyone else needs to, but that was different. Oh, DCL Interact. LMAO. Holy shit, it was when Josie and Whale Shark were judges at my DCL fashion show. The DCL fashion show was so awesome, and I'm sorry I'm totally stealing this idea, but I told people in CV that they need to make that happen, and I said, credit Decentraland, they did it first, but the fashion show needs to happen in CryptoVoxels. And Easy in Crypto said, you know, when you were saying that you transferred your ETH to USD, and until then you didn't realize it was real, he said now you see that the USD is fake.
Yeah, true. That's a good point. Yeah.
That's so funny. Yeah, these are awesome comments, guys. I love that you guys are just like having your own conversation in here too. And thank you all for coming on like the chat and being so active, because it makes me so happy to like see everyone like interacting with us, but like interacting with everyone else. Yeah. That's always so fun to see. So I appreciate that. Okay, so I'm gonna do rapid fire questions for you. Then I'm gonna post a link, and we're all gonna go to A Lot of Money's Voxel Hotel that I was at earlier today. And it's beautiful. And if you guys haven't been there, you're gonna be in for a treat. And if you have been there, you know why we're going back, and it's so cool. Okay, let me pull up these questions. Okay, Bitcoin or Ethereum?
Ethereum, duh.
Go back 1 year or forward 1 year?
Oh, forward, 100%.
Okay. Last NFT or physical art piece that you purchased?
I bought an Avastar. Avastar?
Yeah.
Am I saying it right? Yeah.
Avastar. Yeah. You hear that, Jim? Are you still in the chat? She bought an Avastar. I want to see what yours looks like. I tend to go for the Avastar, like either of the pigtails or the crown with like the Bitcoin tattoo. I like those. I like try to find that combo.
Yeah. I got it's a dude. He's got this big beard and he's got like blushy cheeks. And that was another one of those like dude with blushy cheeks but very anatomy things that I'm like
Yeah, no, totally. It's funny because I always like with my CryptoPunks. Are you familiar with CryptoPunks?
No.
Okay, I'll have to show you those after this. They are like OG NFTs, and there was only 10,000 of them. But anyways, I only have 5 CryptoPunks, and the first one I bought, I was like, I want it to like look like me and like maybe be a profile picture. And then the other 4 I have, like I always try to make like pairs with them so they look like they like match perfectly as couples. So I was kind of doing that with Avastars too. I was like, oh, this Avastar goes perfectly with that Avastar. They look like they're dating, and I like buy them in sets.
I'm stealing that.
So if I ever, which I've never, fun fact, never sold an NFT on secondary market. So obviously I sell my own art, but I never purchased an NFT and then resold it. But if I was ever to resellers, they would want a bundle because I wouldn't want to separate them. Okay, morning person or night owl?
Morning person. I love sunshine. Yeah.
Oh, I wish I could be a morning person. Cats or dogs?
Shit. I have a lot of cats, but I love dogs.
How many cats do you have?
I have 4. Yeah, we have 4.
Wow, crazy cat lady.
Yeah, very crazy cat lady.
DC or Decentraland, CryptoVoxels, or Somnium? And if you're not, you don't have to answer.
No, I'm torn because I think I love how Decentraland looks like Sims, pretty much, sort of. But CryptoVoxels, like, I mean, it's got a lot of money's work in it. That's like ridiculous. Like that the Japanese palace or like the tentacle, I'm obsessed with.
Oh, I love that place, Rose Nexus.
Yes, yeah, I can't not get enough of that. So I think I'm gonna have to go with CryptoVoxels.
Yeah. Okay. Anything but SSO. Somnium space or Samba? Is SS Somnium? DCL Interact? Window or aisle?
Window, because it's the only way I'd be able to sleep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, DCL Interact, you're going to have to come to the after party because I want to voice chat with you about why you don't like it. Okay. Someone in the past or present, and if you don't feel comfortable answering this, you don't have to, but someone in the past or present in crypto that you'd like to meet.
Well, I'd love to meet the person that I collab with, Omar.
Okay.
Van. Yeah, I would. He's the first person that I collab with in this space, and I'd love to meet him in person.
Okay, awesome. Favorite food?
Oh, I should just pick something. It's an Indonesian dish. So I don't know. It's called rendang. It's just like a beef. It's like a slow cooked beef over like 6 hours with like really delicious Indonesian spices and rice.
Sounds amazing. That sounds really delicious. The texting or calling?
I mean, I don't mind either. Texting is texting, I guess. Yeah, texting.
Okay. Would you want to live forever?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes.
Most people have been saying like no or like live longer but not forever. I would want to live forever.
I do. I'm just too curious. I think the future is going to be so fucking cool.
Yeah.
Like when we space travel, all that stuff, I want to be there.
Okay, I'm totally with you. It's interesting. Most people on the stream have said no, which I should ask deeper next time. Why no? Describe the NFT space with 3 adjectives.
Oh my god, I'm so bad when it comes to like English. Like I'm good at writing, but like adjectives mean like descriptive words, right?
Yeah, or you could just say descriptive words, or you could like do a really short sentence of 3 words, whatever you want.
Perfect. Okay, welcoming. Wait, the NFT space or the crypto space?
NFT space.
NFT space. Okay, well, okay then. Confusing at first. Really. Oh, I know these are like more than 3, but whatever. Fun and abundant, I guess, is what it feels like. Yeah.
That's awesome. I love that. All right, those are all the rapid fire questions. You did an awesome job. And I'm surprised that some of yours were different than most people, because most people don't want to live forever, which I think is kind of crazy that nobody is like, like you said, I'm also just so curious and like, why not? You know? And if you can live forever, I'm sure you could put yourself on pause if you really wanted to take a year off. Like, I'm sure there will be something down the line that you can do that with, you know?
There will be rules, yeah. Yeah, I'm curious why too. Why wouldn't you want to live forever? Yeah, maybe there's like because I know a lot of people have they're afraid of what's gonna happen in the future with like where it's going. Yeah. I guess maybe I'm quite optimistic. I think it's gonna be pretty cool.
I think it's gonna be pretty cool too. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, sweet. I'm gonna post a link in the stream before we come off, so excuse me for opening another tab right now really quick. We are going to meet up in Crypto Voxels at a lot of place, and if you haven't voxels before, you press F to fly. You just move arrows and you hold down while you're talking, so we won't hear you unless you're on V, but also try not to talk over other people or echoey, but once we go in, or you can also just in the bottom left box. Okay, I'm trying to get us a link in just a second here. All right, perfect. All right, posting the link in the message. There we go. The whole thing. I don't know what it is with so so much. We're going to continue a little bit in Crypto Voxel with us. But I appreciate everyone who tuned the live stream, participate. Thank you for telling us so much about your work, your journey to this space.
Thank you for inviting me. Thanks for you.
Yeah, of course. All right, guys. See you in Sills. We're ending the stream now.
Bye.